a shutdown. What's at stake as lawmakers clash with hours to go before the federal government could close its doors? Prime price hike, the likely reason Amazon is raising the cost on one of its most popular services. And unlocking the mysteries of what we eat and why. Plus, love never dies, behind the scenes of the much-anticipated sequel to Phantom of the Opera at Playhouse Square. Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Danielle Serino, filling in for Jimmy. And tonight we're looking at the looming government shutdown, a school board member overdosing, and the price of postage going up. It's all in tonight's 77 Seconds at 7. With hours before a possible government shutdown, the ball is in the Senate's court. Leaders negotiating behind the scenes and posturing in front of the cameras. One big sticking point, Democrats are holding out for a deal to keep dreamers, the U.S.-born children of illegal immigrants, in the country. Akron School Board member John Otterman is recovering tonight after police found him ODing on drugs inside his car. Investigators also found marijuana and a white powdered substance, which Otterman admitted were his. Otterman has already had board duty stripped away, but will likely keep his seat. In Stark County, Massillon's only hospital, which was slated to close, could stay open a few more months. A judge will hold a hearing on February 1st to decide whether Affinity Medical Center will keep running for another 120 days. It had been set to close for good on February 4th. And Dennis Kucinich, the former congressman, hot on the heels of announcing he's running for governor, has picked Akron Councilwoman Tara Samples as his running mate today. Northeast Ohio now clearly established as a stronghold for the Democrat. Plus, get ready to pay more for that next book of stamps. The price is going up a penny, from 49 to 50 cents per stamp. All right, and we're going to dive deeper into the potential government shutdown that's coming up. That's just in a few minutes. NBC's Blaine Alexander will bring us the very latest in a live report from Washington. All right, this year's flu season is among the worst in recent years. The Ohio Department of Health says 1,750 people were hospitalized because of the flu here. That's just during the first week of January, and every state across the country has been hit except for Hawaii. The flu generally affects the elderly, young kids, and people with compromised immune systems the hardest. At least 30 children have died from the flu so far this season. And here's a flu twist that may surprise you. Dogs can carry the human flu. They may not experience the same symptoms, but they can spread it to other dogs and humans. Now, it's unusual for animals to get viral infections from humans, but it can happen. Unfortunately, there's no way to test if your dog is contagious. But if someone has the flu, vets say it's important for owners to be cautious of taking their dogs to places with a lot of other dogs.
We had a client come in who had had influenza B, and they were over it and stuff. Well, I had to examine their dog. I examined their dog, and we were doing good and stuff. And then a week later, I had to go in because I had influenza B.
All right, well, it's a good idea to wait about 2 weeks before taking your dog places if you think they may have been exposed to the flu. Now, this weekend, we learned which two teams will square off in Super Bowl 52. And by the way, the Super Bowl is on Channel 3 this year on February 4th. But to make the big game and all the festivities around it a big success, they need volunteers, and lots of them. In fact, folks from around here have traveled to volunteer in the past, and here's a look at how they get ready.
Super Bowl Live
at Crew 52 Volunteer Headquarters.
11 o'clock, just your photo ID. Awesome.
10,000 volunteers are coming and going.
And somebody will be holding up a mitten.
Including,
thank you,
Elisa Mill.
Well, honestly, I'll do most anything if they give me a shirt.
Free swag is a part of the deal, but before picking it up,
these are the questions that you will get all the time.
Each volunteer goes through a training session. More than 1,000 on Thursday alone will learn what's expected of them during Super Bowl Live.
Safety is a #1 priority for all of you.
Minneapolis PD teamed up with the nonprofit Counterterrorism Education Learning Lab to talk safety, human trafficking, and homelessness.
We just want to make sure that those homeless people are welcomed. Get them a cup of coffee, make sure they got a warm place to stay.
They also talked about how to spot suspicious activity.
There's absolutely no known threats to these events, to the 10 days of festivities, to the Super Bowl. But as we have all seen, as you are all aware, we just want to be proactive.
The host committee also wants volunteers to show visitors the meaning of Minnesota nice.
Well, actually, we are alumni cheerleaders, so we could not be more excited than to be involved with the Super Bowl in our own hometown.
Everything's got to be in place, and we have 8 days left to kind of get everything on our end in place. And as you can see, this whole place will look different, come 26. So once we get these trainings finalized and all the uniforms out of here, it's kind of go time. We have about 48 hours to flip this place and get it ready for action.
Closing in on game time.
Well, as we mentioned in tonight's 77 Seconds at 7, the government is facing a shutdown as a battle in the Senate leaves lawmakers in a tight spot with a midnight deadline approaching. NBC's Blaine Alexander joins us from Washington with how last-minute talks are going. Any clue what's going on in there?
Well, Danielle, we are seeing at least some movement, but the question, is it enough movement, and is it happening fast enough? We do know that there have been some talks, of course, behind the scenes in public, but bottom line, there's no deal yet. So, of course, it's not over till it's over, and lawmakers are quickly running out of time.
With Congress racing to avoid a government shutdown, President Trump calling top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer to the White House, a last-ditch effort to hammer out a deal by midnight.
We had a long and detailed meeting. We discussed all of the major outstanding issues. We made some progress, but we still have a good number of disagreements.
But still, no deal. The focus now, Senate Democrats holding out for a DACA fix, protecting young immigrants who came to America as children.
We already have a bill that we know can pass the House because it already did. We have a bill that we know the president will sign into law because he's already committed to do just that.
But that bill cannot pass without help from Democrats, and even some Republicans are against it. Senator Lindsey Graham says President Trump has to bridge the gap.
I want to keep the government open, I want to fund the military, and I want to do right by the DACA population.
So where do the parties agree? It's the other side's fault.
There's no way you could lay this at the feet of the President of the United States. He is actively working to try to get a deal.
And it may mean a change of plans for the president, putting a Florida celebration marking his first year in office on hold until there's a deal.
And even before this deadline, President Trump was facing a low approval rating, 39%. That's according to a new poll from NBC News and Wall Street Journal. Danielle, that makes it the lowest approval rating for any modern president ending his first year in office.
All right, Blaine, the last time we saw a shutdown was in 2013. What is at stake here this time? What would happen if the government does close down?
Sure. So, Danielle, you've heard people talk about essential versus non-essential personnel. So non-essential personnel are the ones who would essentially not be working. So we're talking about park rangers, people who work at, national parks. Those would likely be shut down, at least to some extent, because the administration's working on a way to keep those at least partially open. Also, the National Institute of Health, the research types of progress they're making toward fighting diseases, that would be paused. But essential personnel would still stay on the job. So we're talking about active military, TSA agents, FBI, but the caveat to that, they would be doing all of this without pay. So either way it goes, you're affecting a lot of people if we face a shutdown.
All right, well, we all have our fingers crossed, and you go get yourself some caffeine because you're probably going to be there for quite some time. Thanks, Blaine. All right, if you pay month to month for your Amazon Prime membership, get ready to pay more. The online retail giant is upping the cost from $10.99 a month to $12.99, but the price of the annual Prime membership is not changing. That's still just $99. Amazon didn't give a reason for the price change, but it has the potential to encourage more people to get the annual subscription. The company started offering monthly Prime membership a couple of years ago to get more holiday shoppers on board. All right, so imagine an HD video camera with 20 days of battery life. Not hours, days. And as our deal guy Matt Granite shows us, it's now a reality and also a steal.
You've seen the footage everywhere. In fact, if you watched the Consumer Electronics Show, you saw that time-lapse footage of the robots and all that other stuff. Great to be with you. So many of us investing in apps to supposedly give you a time-lapse look-like for beautiful footage that you capture on your own. Finally, at its lowest recorded price, there is a camera you will want when you see what this does. From the second I set this camera up, I was blown away. You get 20-day battery life and the ability to capture beautiful footage, something as simple as the clouds moving, a sunset, family events, sporting events. action around your home, a new neighborhood, or travel. This is the coolest HDR time-lapse video camera I have ever used because not only is it affordable with incredible battery life, but it works outdoors, an all-in-one waterproof design, great for both Apple and Android devices, plus instant sharing to your social networks, all tied to the awesome app. This item, which is ready to rock, includes an SD card, not a paid product. On our website, WKYC.com, is where I have you covered for your biggest steals in Northeast Ohio. Happy savings. Back to you.
He cracks me up, and that looks pretty cool, actually. All right, coming up, it's the sequel to one of Broadway's all-time biggest hits, Phantom of the Opera, and we'll take you behind the scenes of Love Never Dies over at Playhouse Square. And unlocking the mysteries of the human body and why we eat the stuff we do. That's right after the break. But first, let's say hello to Betsy. What's going on, Talls?
Why we eat the stuff we do? We like it. That's why. We eat lots of it. All right, here's a look at the next 6 hours. Temperatures are going to be relatively steady in the mid-30s. Skies mostly clear to partly cloudy. This will set us up for a fantastic weekend. I have details on what to expect next.
Channel 3 News at 7, Donovan Live, is made possible by the Calvetta Brothers Floor Show. It's time to fall in love again with your home.
Okay. And then we adopted her, and she's doing great, but like, she didn't know any human things when we adopted her. So like, the coffee pot will go off and she'll be like full arch. Yeah, full arch with all her hair bristled up, and it's just like, oh, poor baby. Yeah, no. Right. I don't blame her, but at the same time, we do get scratched every once in a while because we're just like, I want, hi. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You don't mind if I snap? Sure.
I don't mind.
You don't mind if I tuck this in?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
Do whatever you need to do.
Should be good, thanks.
Perfect, thank you.
So did you get to work on Lucy at all?
I didn't. So I don't do paleo like Denise. I do modern human stuff.
Modern human.
Yep. So archaeological.
Well, we are continuing our spotlight on science, technology, engineering, and math professions, also known as STEM, and some awesome women in those roles here in Northeast Ohio. This week, we're talking biology with Dr. Nicole Burt, who's a biological anthropologist. She is the curator of the Human Health and Evolutionary Medicine at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History. Modern human is the new concept that I have just delved into here. She basically studies us within centuries, not within
so
eons.
both archaeological and modern humans in, say, the US and Canada. I study diet primarily. So.
Why is this so important?
Well, I think it's really important to understand how our choices, and that could be cultural or individual choices, affect our overall health. So like chronic disease risk and things like that. Both, it's always important, right?
And they always say you are what you eat.
You are what you eat. That's
Were they what they ate?
Exactly. I use actually stable isotopes to chemically determine what you ate. You literally make your body out of what you eat. So that's the basis of my science.
So you took previous samples, we'll say, and went back to, you could figure out what they ate.
Yeah, so deciduous teeth, which are baby teeth from children in medieval Britain, and you can sample those and figure out what their mothers were eating when they were pregnant with them, what they ate when they were weaned. It's really important to kind of understanding individual life course.
And things have come a long way. People's understanding has come a long way.
Yeah.
So your studies have kind of traced that path.
Yeah, so one of the things I do with my research now too is trying to use this really powerful method to understand modern health and weaning and how that affects childhood, because it's important in the past, it's important now.
Well, speaking of childhood, what did you want to be when you were growing up? Did you think, I want to be an anthropological or archaeological blah, blah, blah?
I'm a boring person who always wanted to be an anthropologist. I wanted to be an anthropologist, and so as a little kid, I told everyone I was going to be an anthropologist.
Really?
Went to college, became an anthropologist, so.
So when you were a kid and you sat down and you drew a picture of what you wanted to be, what did that picture include?
Well, I just really was interested in people and why they did what they did, and so that's what I wanted to do. I just was really interested in like where people all over the world, like how they lived, how that affected their lives, and that's what I wanted to do.
So young people out there who are thinking all these career choices, they literally have the world in front of them. If you were to tell them anthropology is so cool because...
Well, I think it's interesting because it's both biology and culture. So you get to study people and be creative about like understanding what people do and what drives them, but also the underlying biology and how that fits together. So both like how our bodies naturally work and what we do to change that.
That is really awesome. Yeah. Can I still eat cheesecake?
You can. It's everything in moderation. People always get really afraid to eat in front of me.
Very important, because the cheesecake, gotta have the cheesecake. Well, I'll tell you what, February 10th, we have a phenomenal event coming up at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History. You'll get to meet a lot of female scientists. So if you have a young person in your life who is interested in STEM careers and want to meet some of the other girls, come on down to the Natural History Museum. You can find out more information on their website. Thank you for joining us. We're going to talk some more science and your weather forecast coming up.
Because you mentioned it. I forgot. Thank you. Thank you. Of course, the second. I always drop my mic so that I can get about this.
Yeah, we do that too, don't worry. People leave with them. It's great. Good times. Thank you. I'm on my way. Huh? Yeah. And just so it's clearly noted, this week at this time, I'll have a margarita in my hand in Phoenix. Nice. Just saying. Not sure what number margarita it will be, but I will.
All right, let's go to the theater now. Love Never Dies is the sequel to the classic musical Phantom of the Opera, and it is at Playhouse Square this month. The show picks up where the original hit ends, and Will Wkyc gives us a sneak peek.
It's Phantom, like you've never seen it before.
And it's happening 10 years later, so what happens in 10 years, we mature, we grow.
And that growing has taken a toll on some of the most iconic characters in musical theater.
These characters, now they get sort of to find out what happened to them. They get a bit of closure.
You're seeing the human being side of these people. You're going deeper into their psyches, I think, 10 years later. You're dealing with a marriage that hasn't gone well. It's not the storybook romance that it was in the original.
It's a new concept. It's the same characters, but it's its own show. So it's standalone, and if you're a fan of Phantom of the Opera, you're going to love this. And if you don't know the original, you still will love this.
While seeing what the Phantom, Christine, Raoul, and the Giris are like 10 years after the Phantom of the Opera appeals to many, those playing those roles say,
because of the music.
It's Andrew Lloyd Webber's music that truly make it special.
The music that you are going to experience when you come it'll just wash over you and completely touch your soul.
Andrew Lloyd Webber is a genius in what he does.
At Playhouse Square, Will Wkyc, Channel 3 News.
Love Never Dies is at Playhouse Square now through January 28th. So we're in this warm-up, even though it's still freezing right now. Concerns about flooding?
Well, there's a little bit of a concern. Most of that would be ice jams on the rivers.
Okay.
So this time of the year, that's part and parcel with river living. But as far as general widespread flooding, I think we're getting into more just a standing water kind of a situation. We made it to 38 degrees today. Not too bad after a morning start at 23. That is above average. And as we move through the rest of the forecast, I think you'll notice the temperatures are going to be moving up. Lots of green to the west of us. That's where the warmer air is. And again, the southwest wind we have been dealing with will stay with us. It'll be a little breezy tonight, a little brisk tomorrow too, but the warmer temperatures will be coming our way. And there's a storm system that's sitting out in the Rocky Mountain states that will move east as well. And out ahead of that, we'll start to see clouds increasing through the weekend and rain chances that will arrive on Monday. So clouds increasing, that means dry weather Saturday and Sunday with those warmer temperatures I just talked about. We got some mamas that are already thinking ahead. Dragon Mama, one of my favorite tweeps, says, Betsy Kling, fantastic forecast. My read is warm enough for my kids to do long delayed by frigid temps minivan clean out after breakfast, then play in the snow fort before it melts away. Is my amateur estimate correct, or should I let them play before the chore list and the snow melt? Let them play all day. The chores will happen, and I'm probably now super popular with your kids. Universal Windows direct forecast, partly cloudy skies, temperatures making it into the 40s tomorrow. We showed you tonight's forecast with those steady mid-30s. We'll be in the low 40s through the afternoon, and again, partly cloudy, certainly nice. Clouds and drizzle moving in late Sunday, and then Monday, here comes that rain. We could be getting anywhere from a quarter to a half inch of rain in much of northern Ohio. That is something that will have to be monitored. We could see more ice jamming on the rivers. Then snow showers return on Tuesday, flurry chance Wednesday, and then upper 30s into upper 40s with partly cloudy skies Thursday, Friday. That's a pretty good looking forecast in the end of January.
Yeah, I have my eye on 52, though. I saw that.
The 152.
Listen, I'm looking for the 52. I need it. All right, thanks, Bats. All right, the surprise inside a woman's mailbox, that is a real hoot. That's after the break.
Here's what's coming up tonight on NBC and Channel 3. Brought to you by Montrose. Everybody knows you've got a friend at Montrose.
A real surprise for one Iowa family finding a baby owl in their mailbox. With the freezing temperatures, the little one was shivering, looking for warmth. It stayed there for 3 days, so the family, obviously worried, called in county conservation folks who left an owl shelter for them in their backyard. And after warming up, the little cutie flew the coop. The family says it hopes it will come back again to visit.
Oh.
I would have taken the owl into my house.
I love owls. I don't know if I'd take it into my house, but I do think owls are just phenomenal. So fascinating.
I would take the deer inside. I would take, there's a possum outside the house.
Oh, no.
I would take them all, and I'm a maniac.
Wow.
Yeah, I love animals.
That's extreme.
Yeah, well, you know. All right, thanks for spending part of your evening with us. Entertainment Tonight is next. Russ Mitchell and Betsy are back at 11. But as always, we have constant updates on our app and at WKYC.com. Have a safe weekend, stay warm, and Betsy,
have a great night.
Thanks for watching Channel 3 News. Be sure to check out the new and improved WKYC.com. No frills, just the facts in a fun and easy-to-use website.